Only 7 points separate 18th place West Ham and 15th place Fulham. For the first time in years, we've got a proper relegation battle on our hands. But who's going down this season? Let's talk about it. Starting off with the team currently in 20th place, honestly, there's not too much to say about Wolves. They've only got 2 points all season. They're the only winless club in England's top 4 leagues. Most fans have come to the conclusion they will be in the Championship next season. With Rob Edwards in charge, I do think they have a good chance of coming back up, because in the Championship he is a very good manager, but for the most part the next few months are going to be very long for all Wolves fans. The most disappointing player I think has been Jørgen Strand Larsen. Last season he was very good for Wolves on loan from Celta Vigo. They signed him in the summer, had the opportunity to almost instantly sell him to Newcastle for about £55 million. Rejected that, kept him at the club, and he's just been so poor for them. The only players who've really looked Premier League quality have been the two midfielders, Andre and Gomez, and also the centre-back who also has played some games in midfield, Stanislav Krejci. But for the rest of the team, the quality is just really lacking. In terms of their chance of survival, I'll give them a 1 out of 10 because I'm feeling generous, but realistically it's a little bit less than that. In 19th place, we have Burnley, and they've also had a poor start to the season. Nowhere near as bad as Wolves, but still a poor start nonetheless. Scott Parker's a big part down to that, but also the quality of players. They do have some good players in the midfield. They've got Florentino, I think, has been excellent for them. There's Luka Chukwu, has also been good. Hartman at fullback has also been a great player for them. But for the most part, I think the quality of their starting lineup and squad is the quality of a team that's going to be competing for relegation in the Premier League. But Scott Parker, his negative attitude always gets to me. I mean, he's been in the Premier League 3 times now. First with Fulham, got them relegated. Then with Bournemouth, he got sacked. And now with Burnley. And I think we were like 15 games into the season, and he already started coming out and saying that they're probably going to be relegated. It's just a really negative mindset to have. And even though it might be true, I don't think as a manager you should ever come out and say that so early into a season, especially when they're not even written off points-wise. They're not that far away from being 17th. But for the most part, I think it will be a relegation season for Burnley. I can't see them staying up. If you asked me at the start of the season, I would have said they finished 20th. I didn't see Wolves being nearly anywhere as bad as they have been. If you ask me right now, I say 19th. I'll give them a 2 out of 10 chance of surviving, just because 3 teams have to go down. I do think Burnley will be one of them. West Ham United make up the bottom 3, and at the time of recording they are only 3 points behind Leeds United. They were within touching distance of 17th place. When you watch this video, Leeds United may or may not have won their 17th game of the season. They could be 4 points or 6 points clear of West Ham, but at the time of recording only 3 points separate the two sides. Now West Ham at the start of the season were atrocious. Under Graham Potter, really poor. They sacked him. They brought in Nuno Espirito Santo, and at the start it was also quite poor. They played some really bad football. They were terrible against Brentford when we won 2-0. But since then, things have slowly but surely started to get a little bit better. They are still in the bottom 3, but not by that much anymore. They remind me a lot actually of Leicester City from a few years ago, when Leicester were too good to go down. In reality, their attack was too good to go down. Their defence was atrocious. The attack of Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, Jamie Vardy, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, that was the part of the team that was Premier League quality. It's the same for West Ham United. Jared Bowen, Callum Wilson, Mateus Fernandes, Lucas Paqueta, these are the players that are Premier League quality players, whereas the defence is really letting the team down. And that's where the lopsided of the team comes from, which is why by the end of the season I have no doubt that West Ham will be in the bottom 7 of the league. But can they stay outside the bottom 3? That is the $1 million question. If you ask me right now, I would say yes. I think Nuno Espirito Santo is a good enough manager to keep West Ham up. I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10 chance of staying in the division. Moving on to Leeds United, at the time of recording they are 17th, only 1 spot outside of the bottom 3, but I think if you'd asked Leeds fans at the start of the season they would have absolutely taken it. They had a good summer transfer window, they brought in some good players. I think Anton Stack's probably been the star of the season. They have still got some players in their squad you look at and think, are they Premier League quality? But for the most part, for a newly promoted club, they have looked very good. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin also deserves a lot of credit. I wrote him off at the start of the term. I said, he was past it. He's one of the worst strikers in the league, which based on the last 2 years is not ridiculous to say. But he's been very good for Leeds United. Joined on a free transfer, and at the time of recording, in his last 4 games, he has 4 goals against Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool and Brentford. Could his goals be the difference between Leeds staying up and going down? Absolutely. How likely are they to survive though? I'm going to give them a 4 out of 10. Nottingham Forest, the penultimate club we're talking about today, I mean, they've had the most interesting season out of any club in the league. They've had 3 different managers, they're in Europe, they're also in a relegation battle. There's so much going on there in Nottingham this season, but let's start from the beginning. Nuno Espirito Santo didn't start off the season that poorly. I mean, he beat Brentford on the opening day. He had a couple of results there. He got sacked because of off-the-field issues. They brought in Ange Postecoglou inexplicably. That really derailed the start of their season because clearly bringing in a very unpredictable and offensive-minded manager into a squad that has been set up incredibly defensively for the past 12 months is not the smartest idea. Then they sacked him and brought in Sean Dyche, who's much more like Nuno and a much better fit for the club, and he started to steady the ship a bit more. In Europe, they're putting together some good performances. In the league, they're putting together some good performances. They have not yet played this week. They play Fulham. If they win that, they move above Fulham and even further clear of the relegation battle. The only way that I could see them being in trouble this season again is if they go really far in Europe and also have a lot of injury problems. But because of how big their squad is, you'd have to have like 15 plus injuries for that to really affect them. And you can't predict that. You can't really say that's why their season's going to struggle. For the most part, they've been pretty good since Sean Dyche has come in. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 chance of survival. And then moving on to Fulham, the team that plays Nottingham Forest on Monday Night Football. I mean, they've had some good results, but they've also had some bad results. They're not very consistent, and they are certainly in the relegation battle, at least for the time being. They're not in immediate threat of being pulled into the bottom 3, but if a couple of results don't go their way, they could certainly be close to that. So I think for Fulham fans, it's just a case of after a really poor summer transfer window where they did nothing for the entire few months, then they finally brought in 2 wingers right near deadline day. I think January is an opportunity to bring in a couple of new players, freshen up that squad a little bit. As much as I'd love Fulham to get relegated, I can't see it happening, to be honest. I think if you were to ask me right now who my bottom 3 would be, it would be Wolves, Burnley and Leeds. But I do think Leeds will come very, very close to the wire, and it just comes down to which squads are best suited for the league. And Leeds have had a lot less time to set up their squads compared to teams like West Ham or Fulham who've had years to prepare their squad to Premier League quality. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Who will be relegated this season? I for sure am looking forward to seeing who makes up the bottom 3, because for the first time in years we have a proper relegation battle on our hands. Thank you for watching. Until next time, Hive out.